Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Thou art more lovely and more temperate. Rough winds do shake the darling buds of May, and summer's lease hath all too short a date. Sometimes too hot the eye of heaven shines, and often is his gold complexion dimmed, and every fair from fair sometimes declines, by chance or nature's changing course untrimmed. But thy eternal summer shall not fade, nor lose possession of that fair thou owest, nor shall death brag thou wanderest in his shade, when in eternal lines to time thou growest. So long as men can breathe and eyes can see, so long lives this, and this gives life to thee. Mr. Leroy Williams has been my most memorable teacher. Mr. Williams taught me 9th grade English. The class focused mainly on the works of William Shakespeare. Mr. Williams loved Shakespeare, and he taught me to love it as well. For a 9th grader, Shakespeare can be daunting, to say the least. Shakespeare wrote in Elizabethan English, and many of the words and phrases are unfamiliar. It is very easy for a 9th grade student to become confused and simply give up on Shakespeare. Mr. Williams knew this, and he developed a method of teaching Shakespeare that was fun. Mr. Williams knew how to keep his students interested and excited about learning Shakespeare. I will always remember the day I went to class and Mr. Williams was nowhere to be found. The class was sitting there wondering where he was, expecting a substitute to walk in at any minute. All of a sudden, Mr. Williams comes in dressed as a witch. He donned a black pointy hat, green wig, and a big fake pointy nose. He pretended to stir a big pot, and he begins to recite the lines, "Double, double, toil and trouble, fire burn and cauldron bubble." The class had no idea what he was doing, but he had our attention. Later we learned these lines were from a scene in Shakespeare's play Macbeth. Another day in English class, Mr. Williams walks in wearing a dress and a long blonde wig, and he begins shouting, "Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou, Romeo?" The class immediately knew that Romeo and Juliet was the next play we were going to be learning. Mr. Williams taught me all about sonnets and soliloquies, poems and prose. He taught me how to read Shakespeare, recite Shakespeare, and most importantly, how to retain Shakespeare. I remember everything I learned in Mr. Williams' class because he made it fun. For a final project in English class, the assignment was to pick a Shakespearean sonnet or soliloquy, memorize it, and deliver it in front of the class. Amazingly, I can still remember what I chose. A soliloquy from the play Macbeth, Act 5, Scene 5. Macbeth learns of his wife's death, and he begins, "Tomorrow, and tomorrow, and tomorrow creeps in this petty pace from day to day, to the last syllable of recorded time, and all our yesterdays have lighted fools the way to dusty death. Out, out, brief candle, life's but a walking shadow, a poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage, and is heard no more. It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing." Thank you, Mr. Williams.